Hello everyone, welcome to the fourth video of my Terraform for Beginners series, which kind of based on the HashiCorp's Terraform for Beginners guide. Although we are making a lot of changes here and doing it hands-on, so you know exactly what to do. And again, I'm using the Ubuntu for my deployment work. You can use Mac, Windows, whatever you want. And for this particular series, I decided not to use any IDE, just to focus on the code itself. So far what we have done, okay, we have created our Terraform code. Okay, the Terraform code has specific things. Over here I have the Terraform. Here's the provider that we're working with. So we are creating resources within the Azure environment, right? And the resources that we are create, and this is another block that we have explained. This is a required block. So this is one resource that we are creating. Okay, its a type is the Azure RM resource group RG1, and this is my name of the resource group, and this is the location. We have another resource group that we are creating. So the code looks very similar. Here I have a different name, and here the reference name of this resource is RG1, and here the name of this resource, if we want to call, is RG2, and then you have a different name inside that one. So let's see, what else do we have. We have a virtual network, and you have the same thing. You have a name for this particular resource, the address space and location. Now one thing that you notice, that we are using the location multiple times. Okay, so when you start using uh, a variable, okay, or a value multiple times, it's a good idea to try to uh, try to mm, try to make sure that you take it out and not hard code. So every time you do not have to type out west us2 anymore. You can just call a reference, and if you want to uniformly apply your location and maybe not get mixed up between east us and west us, for example, that would be a good example, a good idea to do it that way as well. So now what I want to show you, so I'm going to get out of the vi editor here. So here if I do a ls-l, I have a main.tf, and then that tf state file which has the list of all the resources that we have deployed. I don't have anything called a variable.tf. It's a best practice. Go and show you the link that we will be working on, kind of based on what we have. So here really this is the section that I'm explaining, define an input variable. So what you really need to do, you need to create a new file, variables.tf. And again, once you have this file, Terraform will already know that there's a file called variables.tf, and the variables are going to come from there. And this is the structure, the way you should be configuring your variable. So they are going after the resource group name. Okay, but what I would like to do, I would like to do, but not the resource group name, because in our code resource group name does not make much sense. So but location does. So I'll do vi variable, make sure it's a singular, variables is plural, so variables dot tf. And once I open, I'm going to paste the file, but instead of having a resource group name, I'm just going to call it location. So I for insert, I'm going to call resource, and I call it location. Okay, and then the default location is going to be east us, and that's what I'm going to do. And that's all I need, and I'm going to say x to save this. Okay, so that's all I needed. Okay, so now we can refer in my code, instead of calling, we're gonna use the var. to refer it as a variable, and then we're going to call the name of the variable. Okay, this is the variable we already said. So if you look in our code, this is the variable. Okay, we're going to call it as var, and then we're going to call it by the name. So in our case, it will be resource location. So this is what is going to happen. Okay, name would be var dot that. Okay, so let's come back to our code for the main. So vi, I'm going to do the main.tf. So the lines where we need to make changes are here. So the location is gonna be, instead of I'm gonna get rid of the east US, right? It's gonna be var dot uh, resource then location, right? Again, I'm gonna do the same thing over here. On that, I want it as a variable. Get the location from the variable dot resource underscore location. That is a variable. I have a default location in there, and I'm gonna do the same thing here as well. I'm gonna do var dot resource underscore location. Okay, so that should do it. So if whenever I make a change in my Terraform code, I run uh, Terraform and then validate command and see if there's anything wrong. So now it's still successful. So let's just run the Terraform plan just to see what changes might happen if we really plan and apply this code. So just give it a second. And what is telling me, few things are going to be replaced. Okay, because why? Because we're changing the location. So okay, if you change the resource group location, the resource group will be deleted and recreated. Okay, same thing is happening with this because we are changing our location. Okay, so two of the resource group will be changed, and another we just updated and made it a variable, but we are not changing anything, so that one will be okay. So I'm comfortable with that. So let's just do apply, and before we do apply, just come back over here and make sure that you see what I see. So over here, resource groups that you have, I have here two resource group, one in the East US, another in the West US too. With our change, because we are referring everything from the variable, and variable has default to East US, everything will change to East US. Okay, let's do the apply now. And see what happens. Okay, then say yes. And it's going through and making all the changes here. And what it's doing is now destroying and recreating my resources. It's still destroying. One of the resources got destroyed, like you see here, destroyed and then creating. So one of the resources got fixed. Another is going on. Okay, now everything is done. So Great. So every single time I do this, I also do run a Terraform state list just to validate I still have all the resources, and I do. And now I go back over here, and what I'm expecting here, you will see that everything is now deployed in the EastUS. Okay, so let's see, this one was already in the EastUS. I was just looking for the VNet. The VNet was in EastUS. Okay, good. So now if I refresh this one, you just see that this has now become EastUS. So every resource that I have, this too, that is managed by the Terraform. Even the resource group in the EastUS and the virtual network is also in the EastUS. Okay, so that's all we have. So main thing that we have learned in this particular video is your variables.tf and how you can uh, take some of the variables you don't hard code. So now you can go back to the main.tf if you like, and you want to say you want to hard you want to change, if you want to change anything else like address space, maybe default address space or anything like that, so you can take it out from here and put it in the variable file. So here you are using a reference when it is part of this code. When it's completely a different variable, you're putting in that variable.tf file. Okay, so use the variables whenever you can to make your code more dynamic and more flexible. Okay, thank you very much for watching the video. Give me a thumbs up if you like it. Bye bye.